GM. FOMOverse Radio. This is your show host, Austin Hamilton. Today we have special guest, David Ariew, known to
Got
the
it.
community as Octane Jesus. David's worked with exceptionally famous stars such as Beeple, Deadmau, Zed, Katy Perry, Keith Urban. Oh my gosh. David, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up? What's up? So yeah, my name, like you said, is David Ariew, which is a weird one in itself because it's spelled Ariew, but the W sounds like a V. And yeah, I'm a 3D artist and I have been for about 12 years now. Anyway, I took a very winding path into my career, as I think a lot of artists do. Before any of this, I got a bachelor's in neuroscience and philosophy, but then I continued on to get a master's in neuroscience. Honestly, just to humor my, honestly, just to humor my parents. Like it was terrible. It was like pulling teeth for me. So originally I was in like a PhD program, but I switched down to the master's and got the hell out of there. And I never looked back. And I finally pursued my passion, which was filmmaking at the time, and my wife, Chelsea, actually helped me realize that I needed to take myself and my art as a potential career seriously and get out there and start doing what I love. And that was all the way back in 2009 or so. So I've been doing this for like 12, a bit over 12 years. But yeah, from there, back in 2009, I pretty much soaked up everything I could. I've always been very addicted to watching tutorials and software in general. So I quickly got into shooting, editing, color grading, VFX, even 2D motion design, and finally 3D, where I've made my home. So I really, in my career, it really helped me to be this uber generalist. All of those skills kind of combined into, the 3D art that I do today. I don't regret any of the skills I picked up along the way because they all, contribute to what I love to do the most, which is digital cinematography. So, that's where I'd say my expertise as an artist, doing lighting, camera movement, and composition, those kind of things.
Wait. Say that word again. Digital?
Digital cinematography. Yeah.
Cinematography. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically being a DP, a director of photography in 3D. That's basically a job nowadays, as we move into games and all these things. You want to be moving cameras and lighting, just like you would in the real world, and applying those real world techniques into this digital realm. So that's kind of a lot of artists do more loops, and they'll kind of have a static scene, and plus it out and make it super detailed. Nest Graphics is a great example of someone who just packs tons of detail into one shot. But a lot of the time for my stuff, I like to do a whole narrative sequence, and do these longer form experiences. I would say, so that's the 3D side of things. And then also I'm an educator in the community, and I've created tons of free tutorials so that people can learn to do 3D art. And just before NFTs really blew up, I finished a course that I spent a full year on, which was definitely the longest and hardest I've ever worked on anything. And it's called Lights, Camera, Render.
Where's that
from? Yeah, it's at this site called School of Motion. And that's also all about digital cinematography.
School of Motion, there it is.
Yeah, man. People that have come out the other side of that course are just ready for battle, and have immediately upped their game and gotten better clients and stuff. And it's really it was before NFTs, but it's very much geared to teach you how to do NFTs. If you're interested in 3D art, it's a full beginner to advanced type course that would really be awesome for NFT artists.
Oh, this is amazing. Did you created this?
Yeah. It took a whole year. So that's what I was doing just before NFTs happened, was this was my magnum opus at the time. And I spent I worked harder on this than I have on anything in my life.
This is amazing.
Thanks, man.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. And all of that. So yeah, getting back to the education thing, you said, I'm known to the community as Octane Jesus, partly because of the long hair, but and I guess that lends me, that Jesus-like appearance. But it started as just a comment in one of my tutorials.
There he is. There's Octane Jesus.
But yeah, I didn't make that up. It started as just a comment in one of my tutorials. You know, and like it kind of spread like wildfire. There's this guy that was like, hey, this guy's Octane Jesus, because Octane renders the software I use, right? Octane render and Cinema 4D. And like, you know, if the internet brands you, you just kind of got to roll with it, rather than fighting it, you know? And
Yep.
so it just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
spread from there. Like, and like some of my friends started making like fan art, you know, this, other artist, buddy of mine, Nick Denbor, who's Smearballs. I don't know if you've seen his work. He's got this Smearballs. Yeah, he's worked a lot with Beeple as well. So he's like got this very grotesque and like kind of disgusting art style, but hilarious. He's extremely talented. But yeah, he's on Super Rare. You should definitely check him out. But he like did that profile pic of me like as Jesus, where he like photoshopped me into the Jesus picture one day.
Oh yeah, we got it pulled
So,
up
yeah.
here so everybody can see it.
Nice, that's amazing.
Let's see. Let's pull up a super rare.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's
You
just
should. It's just smear balls.
smear balls.
Yep. Just exactly how it sounds. And while you do that, I'll eat my toast for
yeah.
breakfast here. Just crunch on into the mic.
Nice.
There you go.
Smear balls.
Yeah. This shit's fucking. Scroll down to there's this one, that one, the third one on the right. I love that one. Click into that. Flophouse. Yeah. Because like so much detail. Like it's like intentionally ugly, and there's so much detail happening like constantly. You can just like look at this forever and see like little flies on the wall and bugs crawling around. There's just so much love into the animation.
So is he like zooming in when he's creating this picture and making like this super small detail and then like zooming out and then
It's
creating
more like
bigger things, or
it's
what?
that's a very good question. I think like probably he does start with the larger details. It's like as a 3D artist, it's almost like working in VR. You're like working in this 3D space and like tumbling it around and placing objects. You know, so he probably blocks out the scene first with the bigger details and then goes in and places all the smaller stuff. But it's like for this, it's like I think he took like at least 3 or 4 weeks to do it, of just like making sure every animation was fine tuned, you know, putting in all the little textures and details, and like, you know, like I said, bugs crawling on the floor, and like
Every single
you know,
time this spins, I see something different.
that's exactly why I love it.
Yeah.
You know, you just keep getting
That's
further
insane.
and further into it. Yeah. So he like definite shout out for him. He's fucking badass.
That is crazy.
But yeah, like, so going back to my career and stuff, like how I got my start, you know, a lot of my background, like we said, is in concert visuals. My first job was actually doing visuals for Dave Matthews Band, and a bunch of country music artists and festivals, like Faster Horses Festival and all these cheesy things, like, you know, but that's just kind of how I got my start, was this small company in Charlottesville, Virginia, back in like 2009. But I made some really great friendships there. Like my buddy Abel Okugawa, who is my sound designer and composer on all the NFTs I do. Like he and I got our start at that company. Yeah, and that concert visuals thing I just kind of stuck with that. I mean, I kind of like when I quit that job, I definitely freelance doing all sorts of weird odd jobs in post-production for a while, like digital imaging technician, which is like just managing data on set, doing color grading on set and all sorts of stuff like that. But eventually I made my way back to concert visuals. Is one of the things I really love doing. You know, in my career, I've always like had a passion for very tightly syncing like the audio and visuals together. But yeah, like like you said, I've gotten to work with a bunch of artists like Zed, Beeple, Deadmau5. Actually, Deadmau5, I worked at his house in Toronto for like a week with my friends, which was fucking trippy as shit.
So awesome.
Like in person, like just in this nerdy, like, you know, hexagon of like computers that he had, like just workstation. We were all jamming out together on visuals for his show. And then he had like a mini cube sitting there, like a prototype thing so you could test the visuals right there, you know, in his basement.
That sounds like some Area 51 shit.
Yeah.
Are you sure you weren't in Nevada?
Right. Totally.
Some like alien energy down there
Yeah, man.
with hexagon shapes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Deadmau5 is trippy as fuck though. He's like such a weird dude. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. He's like maybe slightly on the you know, like Asperger's spectrum, because he doesn't look at you, but he's, you know, and he's just like slightly edgy. But you know, he was definitely like fun to to like nerd out with and make like visuals with, because he actually uses Cinema 4D and Octane as well to create some of his own visuals. So like we all jammed with him back in, I guess it was like 2018 or so. But yeah, that was definitely one of the more crazy experiences of my life, going like to his house to make those visuals. And yeah, I also, you know, like I said, did you know, like 4 months of work for Zed, and that's like, that was in 2019, and Beeple did all like the style frames for that, and we worked together on this like the whole show really, and that was fun as shit, because I really got so nerdy and technical about like syncing the audio and visuals together, like every little hit, you know, having something explode, or like, you know, the camera movements, like the like lens widen out like crazy to different things.
And
yeah,
how are you like syncing this up? Are you like
it's very
pausing
manual
stuff and like going down to like the millisecond and like really just fine tuning everything and make sure like play it in real world time and just make sure everything syncs up?
Yeah, it's similar to that. So it's like basically I'll start in Premiere with the audio track, and I'll just cut to the track. So I'll be like, where are the things that I want, where are the beats that I want to hit, right? So it'll be like, okay, you know, I'll just lay down the major beats as cuts, and then certain things, if they're different, like, you know, like a hi-hat or something, some other part of the music that I really want to hit. I'm not like very smart about music, by the way. I don't know like all the terminology.
Do you play any instruments?
Yeah, man, I played the clarinet in high school.
Oh yeah.
No.
What's the one thing they give you in elementary? Not like the flute.
Recorder. Yeah,
recorder.
Exactly. So yeah, the clarinet's just like the slightly upgraded version of the recorder. So yeah, I played the fucking clarinet. So, but I don't know, that I think that did have maybe something, like playing any instrument for that many years. I played for like 5 or 6 years. You know, that does help. That does help. But I was never.
My cousin played the clarinet.
Nice. I was never very passionate about it though. It was just kind of something I did, but I was very passionate about like DDR and Guitar Hero and Rock Band and like music and rhythm games. So I think that might have had something to do with it. Also, like my work's always just been very tightly intertwined with music since the very beginning. Like I said, I got started with concert visuals, and yeah, I mean, and you know, like even music videos, like a lot of my favorite jobs were these like overly ambitious full CG music videos that I would work on for like 4 months at a time, like getting buried way in over my head and having to gradually dig myself out. So I don't know, there's just some kind of like OCD thing there, as well as like, you know, just really enjoy. It's like a satisfying thing to see an animation that fits the music, that like feels like they belong together, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's very like kind of manual process of just going through Premiere, finding the beats that I want to hit, and then kind of transposing those to C4D as markers. I lay down markers on the timeline for those exact beats where I want something to happen. And it can be 2 different tracks where it's like there's one thing happening for the bass and another thing happening for another sound that comes in, whatever it is. I just try and create, you know, all of these animated elements in the scene that match the sound, you know?
I've noticed a lot of your stuff to me almost looks like you're looking through like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this something that's influenced you, or is it just something that's naturally just kind of in there and you didn't mean for it to happen that way? It is that way.
Yeah, so that's like I would call, so I have 2 very distinct different styles, I would say. One is that, like I was talking about before, is the more like cinematic pieces, like the 888 trailer is a great example of like that kind of style. Or have you seen my Maker's Place work at all?
Let's go over to your Maker's Place.
Yeah. So I've got a lot more of that, like, and actually, yeah, on my Twitter there, that was a good example too. But yeah, let's go to my Maker's Place. So like these are better examples of that cinematic work, like the one on the top left, down on the render farm there. So yeah, this is more like, these are much more complex to pull off. There's a lot more camera movement, lighting, detailed animation. You know, I love doing projects like these that feel like a Pixar short, you know, or like I've got a lot of cyberpunk style work as well. So I like having that versatility and having lots of different styles to play around it. So the mirror boxes, the kaleidoscopic work that you're talking about, that's just one style, but it's one that I've been playing around in for at least the past like year and a half. And I've just gone way down the rabbit hole. You can see where it started here in Maker's Place. Those were the first mirror box pieces I did with those chandeliers.
Sorry, I had to restart.
I know.
Something was going on.
All good.
This one right here, Walk Away. Or
No, no, no. Scroll down a couple. The ones that are like chandelier, like golden chandeliers there that yeah, 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 that's
kaleidoscopic?
it. Kaleidoscopic. Like those were two of the first mirror box pieces that I did. So basically it's an infinite mirror room. You know those art exhibits that look
Yep.
where someone's just standing in a hall of mirrors essentially. So I don't know, like at some point in my career, I can't remember what this was. There was this whole series of jobs where I ended up exploring infinite mirror rooms. It started with, I think it was like the Latin Grammys, and I had to create some style frames where they wanted to create an infinite mirror room just with some chandeliers. And it looked really cool, but they just stopped it at the very basic, like how it would look in real life, which is not, it's cool, but everyone's seen it. So then I started like taking these techniques and like playing around with it more and trying out like fisheye lenses and like, weird different ways to distort the mirror boxes. And I just kept experimenting, going further and further down the rabbit hole. And then, I think at some point, someone actually approached me from like the Republic of Georgia, this guy named like Dmitry Gagoshidze. I took on some weird ass jobs, client jobs in my career, but this guy like wanted me to create, he was doing like an actual set of mirror rooms in, I think, China, and wanted me to basically create the pre-visualizations for those. Like, so that I got to experiment more with the techniques there. And then Keith Urban approached me and loved, I had created this tutorial actually on how I did some of these animations. This was all before NFTs actually. And so then a guy from Keith Urban's team saw that and approached me and, thought that those looks could work really well. So I took it to a more like colorful psychedelic place, and it just kept evolving and evolving. And then, it's also just somehow it's a really like freeing style to play in because I feel more like I'm partnered with the software. It's almost like I go in there and I don't even know what's going to come out because I can create just different shapes that are reflective. And then like the computer is essentially calculating all those light bounces, a lot of the things that are happening. And I'm just playing around with animations like squashing and stretching these boxes or like spinning the camera around like crazy, playing with weird lenses and like different things to emit into the mirror boxes essentially. Like a lot of the time I'll just take textures that are really colorful and pass them through some simple geometry, but it like because it's creating these infinite reflections, it looks so complex and cool. Yeah, that's one that 888 bought early on. So yeah, this was kind of the start of that process. And honestly, like I've never done, mushrooms or any kind of hallucinogens, but I discovered, that these are really fucking fun to watch while you're high, right? So it's like I won't create them while I'm high, but after the fact, I like watch them and go like, whoa, like I made this. It doesn't feel real. It's weird because it's one of those things where it's like if it's the full 3D. Like these are also 3D, but if it's the full like cinematic stuff, you have to be so like detailed about planning every step, every aspect, everything's problem solving. Whereas here it feels more like playing. I go in and I just like change some parameters around and I'm like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. How did I get there? And then like let's keep going down that rabbit hole and play with like what this weird cylinder thing looks like when it's reflecting, all these lines, or what this torus does to stretch out, like glass torus does to stretch out, the whole scene and create these weird like hallucinogenic and perceptual like experiences. And also the art is starting to feel like this specific series is starting to feel like very spiritual to me too. It's like I can just zone the fuck out looking at one of these and feel like I've gone on some kind of crazy journey.
It's so amazing to me how, you have these different styles here. Like you can see the top four and then you go down and then
yeah, it's completely different.
These kaleidoscope. Well, no, it's just so amazing to me because it's like you think of some of these artists and like everything they do kind of like matches that same kind of style. Versus you, it's kind of, it's not a bad thing. It's all over the spectrum, and I really respect that and like that because I think it takes a lot of hard work to do.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate
and
that.
The clarity and the crispness is just next level. And these, I mean, everything looks extremely detailed. So, congratulations on that, man. Just keep up what you're doing. This is just some really intense work that I
Thanks,
can
man.
tell that you've definitely put your heart and soul into this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
and like you said, it's a spiritual thing for you, and I think it reflects that.
That's
You know,
really
you
cool to hear.
you
Yeah.
can you can feel the energy literally coming out of the screen. Whether
That's so cool to hear,
you're
man.
looking at a smartphone, whether you're looking at a monitor, whether you're looking at a display screen on a wall, you can
Yeah.
definitely just feel this energy. And I don't know if that's something that you intentionally are putting into this work, but it definitely reflects that.
Sometimes, yeah, I would say so sometimes. I mean, it's, yeah, it's been really interesting. It's been an interesting journey because, well, I forget what I was going to say actually.
This piece right here,
Yeah.
for some reason, it kind of reminds me of Wally.
Yeah, it does
Just
have that
kind
vibe.
of
Like
like the
the
yeah.
drone has like some personality. It's interesting how you can give just a simple sphere some personality just by like having it kind of look around and zip around and like, you know, um, like do just a very simple animations, honestly. That's what I was going to say is that like a lot of that you say that it's super crisp, right? And a lot of these things, I agree that my work is very high level, but I also am like so tapped into all the 3D artists in the world. Like I know so many of them, especially the ones that are kind of like more solo entrepreneur types, you know, and the people in the 3D NFT space. And some of them I feel like I can't compete with the levels of detail. Like I would have to go and study for like 6 months to a year, you know. And I bet from an outside perspective you can't tell that, but there are just some people, there's always going to be people ahead of you. There's always going to be people that give you that imposter syndrome and that you like worship and you're like, holy fucking shit, your work's so good, you know. So but in a way I found this, like getting into NFTs has really allowed me to dig into my own style. But because before NFTs, I was doing client work. You know, I was kind of, I would say I had one foot in the client world and the other foot in the art world, because I saw like around from like 2015, I'd say, to today, I've seen like Instagram blow up and all these daily render artists blow up thanks to Beeple. And you know, they were more the art scene, right? With 3D, they represented that, and they weren't getting paid anything, but they're the people like Fuck Render, you know, Josh Pierce, a lot of these guys that super stood out when NFTs rolled around. And I was honestly like doing a little less of that. I still had like a good decent Instagram following, but I never like blew up to crazy numbers. I wasn't trying to like go viral. I was just trying to show what I was doing, like kind of use Instagram and Twitter and these things as a portfolio rather than trying to go all in on getting viral internet success like some people were. Like Fuck Render went there, and that's one reason I think he blew up so quickly with NFTs, right?
Mad Dog
So I
Jones
was,
had quite a bit of followers on Instagram
yeah,
too.
exactly. Mad Dog Jones is a great example. Like Beeple's an obvious example. He had millions of followers on Instagram before getting into NFTs. So I was not at that level in terms of an audience, but I gained an audience through NFTs. You know, like I gained an audience of collectors, and also, yeah, just
Like
from
me.
doing all these, like you, man, from doing all these different things, like education. Like artists came out and supported me, you know, thanks to the educational content I had out there because they knew me, you know. But yeah, all of that's to say, like NFTs really allowed me to dig into my own style where I wasn't working for a client doing exactly what they wanted. You know, thankfully, a lot of my clients along the years would give me a blank slate. They'd be like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to make it cool. You know how to make things cool. So you make it cool. Right.
That's nice.
Which is great. You know, that is really nice. Sometimes it could be overwhelming if you have a blank slate because you're like, what the fuck do I make? You know, it's just a total, you know, blank page, and that's intimidating.
And then you're thinking you're trying to like live up to their expectations, and you're
Yeah,
just
that
like
too.
hoping that you're like pouring all this like blood, sweat, and tears into it, like
Yeah,
hoping
I
they accept it.
always,
But you know what? That they're gonna accept your work, man. You're
that's
very
true. I mean,
talented.
thanks, dude. I'm just saying, yeah, like that is true that with clients, you know, I would get like that wave of anxiety at the beginning of every project because it's like, what are their expectations? You know, just what you said, like you don't know if you're going to live up to them. So, but what I'm trying to communicate is that doing client work is more like solving problems, like constantly solving problems versus exploring your own personal style in art. There's something much more freeing about exploring your own artwork. And I was doing that on the side once in a while, but it's very, very difficult to fit that into your life when you're doing client work 24/7, you know, because at the end of the day, you've worked like 8 or 9 hours, however long it is, and you're like burned out on sitting in front of the computer. You want to just go fucking lay down and play video games, go on a hike, whatever, something that's not computers. So people, I have such respect for people that can continue to grind their faces off and do their art career on the side, even before it was financially viable. So NFTs really made, you know, true art careers for digital artists financially viable. And the beautiful thing about this is that I would have never discovered that style. I would have never dug so deep into the Mirrorbox series if not for NFTs. So it's enabled me to explore this more spiritual art, explore this thing that I do that's unique to myself. Like nobody else does this form of art to the same level. And so it's like, maybe I'm not competing on the realm of photorealism with all the artists. I could, like, that is something I want to do in the future. I love that side of things as well. Obviously, like I really love getting into that as well, but I can also do this thing that's my own personal style that I find very satisfying and fun, that other people respond to, that people like. I want to do, like, Chelsea, my wife, just came up with this idea the other day. She was like, what if you do a contest where you give away like a 1 of 1 or an edition of 5 or 10 or something to people that react the best to, like, people that get high and react to your work. Like, I'll just be like, here's a contest, you know, get blazed as fuck, and then react
put a reply
to,
or something.
Yeah, or just do a video of yourself, like reacting to this thing, like zoning out and staring at my work, or like putting it on a projector or something. So then I can do a giveaway where I, like, you know, give away a unique piece to those people, just as a fun way to engage the community, you know.
Exactly.
But like,
you said it, engage the community. It's like, you know, whether you got to do a giveaway or you got to do a contest or you got to do a poll or a survey, like, it's all about engaging with your people and just knocking on their door saying, yo, like, I'm still around. You know,
100%,
I'm
especially during this
100%.
bear market. You know,
Oh, yeah.
people are like, has this guy bailed or not? And that's true. Yeah, I mean, I bought into so many, because I'm a 3D artist. I knew all the other 3D artists. I knew who the dopest artists were. I bought into so many artists, like, early on, that I thought would blow the fuck up. But so many of them bailed. They're like, NFTs aren't for me. You know, so it's like, you've invested in someone and they're just, I know how that feels to invest in someone, and then your investment's worthless when they leave the NFT space, you know?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I
It happens.
I bought several PFPs that I'm not really proud of. I've shared a couple of them on here, Fomoverse Radio. Like,
I've bought so many PFPs I'm not proud of. I've got like a whole fucking wallet full of junk. Like, I participated in that stupid ass Nifty contest, you know, where everyone was trying to win points. Do you remember that thing?
I remember that.
Thing?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
SummerSlam 2022. WWF.
Yeah, SummerSlam. Yeah, WWF.
SummerSlam.
So I was just buying bullshit garbage NFTs, and I think his name's Scap Trades. He's like a pretty well known. He beat me by one. He got number, like, place 10 or something, and I was in number 11 or something like that, or 14 and 15. I can't remember what it was, but he won I was going for the Deadfellas and he got it, and so I got, like, shafted on that too. But so I've got, like, a whole,
you're like, man, I could have just bought a Deadfellas.
Right. It would have been exactly. I was trying to make it worth the money of all that effort, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it just wasn't worth the effort. Funny
you live
shit
and
like
you learn,
that.
though. I mean,
yeah.
I've argued a couple times with people, like, it's probably a good thing. Like, we've already bought these PFPs because we've learned from it in the past.
We've learned so much from making all these mistakes. It's very true. And now it's like, if there's another contest or some bullshit where you need to list a bunch of things on a platform, or you're going to get some free tokens for listing some stuff on a platform, I've got a whole wallet full of like 100 or more garbage ass NFTs. So here we go.
So what do you plan on doing with those? Like,
Nothing.
Are you just gonna, like, hold them in a wallet? Are you purposely putting them on a hot wallet, hoping that later there's, like, an insurance policy and then somebody hacks it and then you can cash out the insurance policy? I mean,
that's thinking too deep for me, honestly. I just got them sitting in my, like, DGen minting wallet, you know, like, they're just whatever. And then I've got, like, a vault with all the good stuff, you know, all the art pieces that I bought, my ape, my POC stuff, all the things.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, man.
You got an ape?
Oh yeah. So yeah, maybe we should just rewind back to
there.
How I got into NFTs, you know, because that's, like, probably a good place to start, right?
Let's rewind.
Let's rewind.
But before we rewind, though,
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull up a video of a rewind,
sounds good.
and that way people know what we're trying to do here. Here, here we go.
Beautiful.
All right, we rewinded.
Yep. Now people understand the concept.
Okay, we're good to go now.
We're good to go now. Yeah. So I got into NFTs actually thanks to Beeple. I've known him since 2015 or so, and I've been working with him on and off over the years. First, it was like his Control Z events. I don't know if you ever heard of those. He put on 2 events in LA, which were extremely fucking dope with DJs. It was just a party for all of the motion designers.
When was this? 2015?
No, I think it was like 2018 and 2019 or so. Around then.
Yeah. I came into the scene in like 2020, early 2020. So.
Well, that's still you came into NFTs in early 2020.
Yes, the first one
That's
I heard
very
about
early.
was Trevor Jones Picasso
Jones.
Bull. I just watched
Yeah,
the drop.
yeah.
I thought it was cool. I didn't participate. I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't
Yeah,
understand
man.
why people were buying it, but I was like, oh, this is cool.
Totally. Yeah, you were very early then. But yeah, so for the Control Z events, I would cut reels of all the dopest work from the previous year, basically, and do things like animating the 3D scene he used for the promo art. So I basically made the titles for the party and stuff like that. So that's where I was first working with him. Then later on, I did the FITC titles, which are these cartoony titles that he made. I helped him on that and made a bunch of scenes of like racing weird cartoony cars for that. And
Wait,
then,
how did people find you, or did you find?
I met him. I met him in 2015 at a motion design conference in Chicago called Half Res. And he had already heard me on the MoGraph podcast a bunch, so he knew who I was. And then I showed him like some of the textures of his that he released tons of free VJ assets and like textures and shit for free back in the day, and still does. So I like showed him some of his textures that I'd used in this dorky ass like Star Wars Harry Potter thing that I made. Yeah, so he was stoked on that. So that's where we kind of started like talking, and then I just like hung out with him at all the conferences, like especially NAB is the big one every year, where we have this like pinball party, this and then followed by limos that take us to karaoke. So we've been hanging out for years, but yeah, and then like I said, I did Zed with him for 4 months as well, though he was only on it for like a week or two, because he basically made the initial concept art and like style frames that I would take in to and animate and relight and retexture and basically polish the fuck out of. But that was like a really good workflow, because he's obviously super fast at coming up with ideas, and then I would just like execute and make them make it look really good.
That's so amazing. You're friends with them, because it's like I know a lot of collectors, and like my buddies, even in real life, they'd be like, "Really, you know people?
People? Yeah,
he said something to you."
Right. Yeah, he said, hey bro, you're a fucking douchebag, you goddamn chode.
Oh, is he from Wisconsin?
Yeah, he is. He that's the funny thing about him. He's born and raised in Wisconsin. He only moved to South Carolina a few years ago, but he was just in the middle of buttfuck nowhere for years and years, but he still made this insane art career just by crushing it online. You don't have to be anywhere specific anymore to do awesome, especially with digital art. But yeah, anyway, my friends and I were like watching him blow up for years, on Instagram. And then when NFT and like, we had him on our podcast a bunch of times and whatnot. And then when NFTs like came around, we were shocked because he made 120K on his first drop. And we're like, holy fucking shit, that's a year's salary. I mean, yeah, some motion designers make probably like 250 to 300K a year, but that's still like, I'd say the average salary is around 80 to 90K a year for motion design. So that's like a whole salary in a year.
Was it the politics is bullshit?
Yep. And then, at the time we were so skeptical of NFTs, and we just like made fun of them for like a week or two, because we just didn't get it yet. We're like, this is so stupid. You own a digital file. Like, you just fucking copy paste it. This is so dumb. But yeah, after doing some research, and
like that meme, like just copy and paste.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right click save.
They don't know I own a Bored Ape when you walk into the party.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, after after that reminds me of actually just to riff off of that. That reminds me of I was at NFT NYC. I was in this I was at the Madonna concert, and I was just thinking of that meme the whole time because I was kind of standing off in a corner awkwardly. Like my wife was she's been like a Madonna fan her whole life, right?
I can't find that meme, but these are
everyone
kind of
knows.
the same.
Everyone knows the meme.
It's
The dude standing in the corner, being like at a party where everyone's having fun, and he's just off in a corner, and they're like, they don't know I own a Bored Ape, or they don't know this, right?
This guy's name is Chad, by the way.
Oh yeah, that guy's Giga
Jeez,
Chad. Anyway, so I was at this Madonna concert, right, at NFT NYC, and I was just thinking of that meme because I actually made 2 of those Beeple and Madonna NFTs. Like Beeple directed, and he hired me to do 2 of those. I did the butterfly one and the tree one, and not a lot of people know that. So I was just sitting there thinking, like, none of these people know that I made the Beeple and Madonna NFTs.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. You were
so
in the
funny.
meme. You were living the meme.
I was living the meme, yeah.
So you were in partnership with Madonna and Beeple here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I did the entire tree one and that destruction one with the butterflies, and then Smearballs, who I mentioned earlier, did the one with the centipedes coming out, that vag.
Oh yeah, let's get into it here.
Oh,
this
God.
is definitely not for kids.
No, it's definitely not. This is definitely not safe for work. So sorry, anybody watching this stream right now. You just got Madonna vagina bombed.
Yeah, if it was on Insta or Facebook, they might actually censor it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I haven't even posted it on my Twitter because I don't want to just disturb
get any
people
controversy or anything.
Yeah, I'm not that's the thing is this is not my art. All right, like I applied my techniques, like my cinematography, my lighting, all that kind of stuff to it, but this is very much Beeple and Madonna's art, right? They came up with the concept. Like this is executing whatever ridiculous shit is in his head, And there's no way in hell I would have thought up that myself. But I definitely had fun. It was like over the course of a year. We can get into that later. But yeah, that's kind of where my relationship with Beeple has taken me so far with that fucking weird shit. Like that's seriously the weirdest job I've ever done in my career. But had to do it.
And then you had a piece sell, or you were in collab, and it sold on Sotheby's. Is that correct?
Mm. Yeah. That's a whole different story as well. That's with my top collector, Triple X. This one that you're looking at right now, the Flower Field one, is unreleased. We're figuring out the best plan for that. So that's very much still under wraps, but we've shown the art. But the piece prior to this with the rocket ship, that sold on Sotheby's for $224,000. And the crazy thing is that sold alongside artists like Basquiat, Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, Banksy. Oh, look, scroll up.
Oh, yeah. This is it. This is the one.
Yeah, there's the one. Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that Sotheby's piece, man, that was crazy. So, we can talk about that. Like, we're going all out of order here, but if you want to just, riff on stuff, that's cool by me. Yeah. But I think I was talking about how, this is actually a fun story, though, how I got into NFTs and, what the deal was with Beeple. So, anyway.
Yeah, go back to that.
So, my friends and I were watching him blow up, right? And he did that 120K drop, yada, yada. And a few months down the line, he did his 2020 collection, which was that whole weekend where he sold $3 million worth of art. So each time he was blowing the lid off of art NFTs and selling for higher and higher amounts. And we were all on the fence. My friends and I had a group text going, and we were like, should we buy one? Should we not? This is such a weird thing. It's $1,000. That was a lot of money.
Was that the raw piece? Is that what you're talking about for the second?
It was
raw?
It was his just 2020. The raw everydays, I think, was actually dropped with the first collection as a $1 drop, with the one that was bought by Pablo Fraile for 120K. I think that was with that one. This, though, maybe you're right. I can't remember.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But the 2020 collection was the one that was bought primarily by Metacoven. Metacoven bought those 20 pieces. And then there was a bidding war at the end with illustrator Tim Kang, where Tim Kang won the whole collection. It was titled the whole MF collection. There you go, 2020 collection. So Tim Kang bought that one for 777,000, and we were watching the whole weekend, like these sales pop off and go higher and higher and higher. And at the end, that $777,000 sale was, I think, the highest any piece of any NFT had ever been bought for. Maybe I think it even exceeded CryptoPunks at the time.
Wow.
Like nobody had bought anything for more than that. And I've talked to Tim since, like, he's like, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. He was like, it felt so financially irresponsible from everything that I learned, but he wanted to legitimize art, digital art, 3D art, as like he was also pissed that Metacoven was buying literally every other piece.
There it is.
So
the complete MF collection.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, my friends and I were like debating whether to buy the open edition when it came out, and they were trying to convince me to do it. So there was this moment I very clearly remember where I went down to the basement where my wife Chelsea was doing some craft stuff, and I was like, should I buy this piece of Beeples for $1,000? And I was like, I had to awkwardly explain to her what it even was, like what an NFT was, but she was surprisingly all for it. And she was like, what's the worst that can happen? We're out $1,000, but we support our friend, And at the time, like saying that today, that sounds hilarious. Like, we're supporting our friend. Like, he needs our fucking support, But that sold me on it. And, of course, in retrospect, I wish I bought like 50 of them.
We all do. We wish we would have bought more.
Yep.
I have this quote I got from Jason Williams, Going Parabolic. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but
yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, I haven't heard of him. But yeah,
quote
sounds familiar.
Yeah. So the quote is, the only one regret is I wish I would have bought more, and he pertains that to Bitcoin. Just like going back. You wish you would have bought more.
Oh yeah.
And I always relate that to NFTs. If you could have bought, 5 more of that drop, or 10 more of the drop. Right. But that's always hindsight. It's hindsight.
It is an unhealthy mindset to be in, because you should be celebrating that you did buy some, like, and whereas everyone else probably missed out. Like, I keep doing this with Goblin Town because I bought like 3 of them at $100, and I'm like, because I was like, this is a dope project. I saw the website. I saw how I caught it really early. I was like, this ticks all the boxes. It's like Goblin Town in the bear market. It's got the meme status, and then I saw the website and how well developed it was. So I was like, shit, this is not a big risk to buy something for $100. But because I was in that bear market mindset, and I was like letting fear rule my, being in that moment, I only bought 3. And then later I bought another one at 0.5 ETH, which was also good.
That's
so
amazing.
There was like conviction there, but like I should have gone so much harder, because I had I had at least $2,000 or $3,000 on the side that I could have got 20 or 30 of those things, and like the risk for a $100 NFT that looked so unique, that was doing all the right things, that risk was very low. So I should have like bought with more conviction. But at the same time, there's so many people that didn't buy at all, that didn't catch it until it was at 3 ETH or even 5 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah, so I seen it at 0.3, and I remember I was at the gym. There's a YMCA right down the street from me, and I can't remember. Somebody posted it, and I was like, huh. I was looking at them, and I was like, man, maybe I should buy one, and I could have. And I waited. I left the gym, I think, and they were already at like 1 ETH. And I was like, oh my god. And then like that afternoon, I think they hit like 1.5 or 2, and then I watched them go all the way up to like 9 ETH.
Yep. And that's where I'm like, should have sold, because we're kind of hurting for money now that it's like such intense bear times. Everybody is.
Everybody.
Yeah. And especially because we're in the middle of this like project of finishing our basement, and we owe them like 45K. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to sell off some NFTs. And that hurts, because it's like killing your babies. Yeah. It's killing your darlings, man. It's like, which ones do I, it's like, maybe it makes the most sense to kind of skim a little bit off the top of everything, like sell, something here, sell something here and whatnot, but it still just hurts to do it.
You get attached to it.
You get attached to it. And that is actually kind of one of the genius things about NFTs, and why I think that the prices aren't declining as much as maybe some people would expect in this like recession, that a lot of the floor prices are holding up in spite of the volume being so low, is that, people are attached to their NFTs. Like, they're like, it doesn't make sense to sell anything from the POC universe right now because he's absent,
Yep.
you know, and we all know he's building something behind the scenes and he'll come back strong, you know, and so it's like, I don't want to sell any POC stuff right now. You know, I don't want to sell any RAF stuff right now because it's between seasons of all that remains. I don't want to sell any, you know, so there's so many things like that where it's like you're waiting to time the market, and
Well,
it's
and then with Pac, it's like, what even would you sell? Like,
right.
I don't know. I guess I just love them so much. Like
I do
the
too.
pieces that I have, I'm like, I just couldn't get rid of them. Like, it would just break me. Like,
Yeah, it would for me too. Like I've treated all of those art NFTs as things I just want to hold forever, but because of the bear market, it's making me face the potential of selling a lot of these assets, which is, you know, not fun right now.
mm-mm.
You know. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I've had those same thoughts, and you know, I agree with you. It's like you just get so attached, but you do need the money. But
Yeah.
it's like you know that you're gonna have to buy back at a higher price later down the road because
Hmm.
you know you think that you know, oh, I'm gonna sell now and buy it down later, but that's never usually the case.
Yeah, thankfully I'm in a position like as an artist, it's so lucky to be an artist in this space because I get to be an artist and a collector where I can make money buying and flipping pieces and all that. But I also, you know, I am the source of income for a lot of this because I'm just delivering art directly to collectors and potentially making money that way. And so,
And that's amazing that you can share that. You know, some artists might just keep, which is not wrong. They might just keep the money for themselves, not, you know, contribute back to the community. So it's
exactly,
amazing that you're like supporting other artists with the funds that you've got from your own art.
that's where
That's
I've been
awesome.
the whole time, and that's what I've seen early on. I realized that NFTs are such a good potential to, like for the community to support itself. Like if you're reinvesting in your, it's like I in my career I've always reinvested in myself. I've also always by habit given back to the community because it's always essentially paid back tenfold or more. Not, you know, not just from that kind of sounds like selfish, but it's just like almost a rule of karma in the universe that I've noticed where it's like the more that you give freely, the more comes back to you a lot of the time, you know,
Good
and in
karma.
unexpected ways. Yeah, it's like just the good karma thing. And that's like literally I learned everything that I know about CG through other people creating tutorials. And so it felt really good to do that myself. It felt really gratifying to create an audience, you know, as an artist, you know, uh, and yeah, so that same thing goes with collecting art, collecting other artists' work. And it's really fucking fun too, because it's like for years and years, you know, we as artists have been staring at Instagram, staring at Twitter and these social media platforms of other people's art and getting inspired. And so we have like favorite artists. I've got so many favorite artists and stuff. And now I get to collect their work and support them in the process. And potentially also, you know, if they do blow up, you know, then potentially make money along with them. So it's like, that's the
With the
nice thing about,
relationship too.
yeah.
Yep.
And that's the great thing about the collector artist relationship is you're on the same team. You know, you're working together. Whereas like previously the client relationship is like, they're trying to get as much from you as possible for, you know, for as little money as possible, which is not as healthy of a relationship, you know?
Correct. Yeah. Maybe there's not like a organic like, hey, what's going on, man? Like, how's your day? You know, it's just like,
There's definitely some of that. Like you know, if you like work with someone regularly with as a client, you know, relationship, like it can get to the point where it's really friendly. Like I'm always very like informal with everyone online. I don't give a fuck. I'm just like, hey dude, what's up, bro? You know, because why not? You know,
well,
there's no
that's what I said when you came on the Zoom call. I'm just like,
it's
what
like,
up, bruh,
bro,
bruh?
bleh. Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, I just prefer that. Like and that's another thing I vibe with the NFT scene is that kind of like informal, or I guess what's the word, like I don't know, just
Not
poking fun at
proper,
everything.
or
Yeah, not proper. Like exactly. Like so I definitely vibe with that. But yeah, with the client thing, it's like, yes, if you've got a working relationship that goes a long time, where you know you're constantly working with them, and you know that it's not just a one-off job, right? That they're not just going to kind of like use and abuse you, then that's good. Like that's a much more healthy relationship. Like with Zed, I worked for 4 months straight, and I've worked with him a bunch of times, and I know that he's going to pay me well, be fair, etc. So you're looking for those kind of relationships because a lot of the time you'll find people that do try to manipulate you, or do try to like just, grind the soul out of you, whereas that almost never happens. Like, of course, there's like scammers and bad actors in the space, but when you find a collector that's a true collector of yours, and has their heart in the right place, then that's like you're on the same team. You found your team, and you're just building together rather than working against each other to some degree.
And I feel like for you during this bear market cycle, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like you can kind of see more clear. Who is
very
the
true.
real collectors,
who's authentic, yeah.
Who's the people that were just there for the cash. Which, again, like it's okay like to sell and buy and stuff like that, but like if somebody's like trying to undercut your floor a whole bunch, or just obviously they're like not there to support you, it's you can see it better. I feel like during this bear market.
Very true, very very true.
It's almost like. They say when you're drinking, like it brings the truth out of you.
Yeah,
so we're like
that's very.
We're all
true,
like
man.
boozed out in the bear market.
Yeah,
and,
boozed out in the bear market.
We're sharing our true feelings now
Yeah,
on Twitter
that's
with each other.
That is funny. Yeah, it flushes the turds, as Patty Stash loves to say. Yep. Yeah, but it's definitely true, and it also like is kind of allowing everyone to have a reality check of like what it's like. Have PFPs become overblown and oversaturated? Yes, but like it just gets everyone to refocus on innovation, which is really where maybe we reached a cap in the number of people that are going to continuously flood into NFTs, because there's just not that much innovation going on, right? And there's so many other use cases for NFTs, whether it's like token gating events, token gating educational courses, like deeds to your fucking house and any kind of items and personal property that you have. There's so many different possible use cases that it's going to require a much more intuitive interface than like the current state of MetaMask and everything for the vast majority of the world to get into, and really that's what we need for NFTs to keep blowing up, is more people to come in the door essentially. And that's not going to happen until we innovate more and make it more intuitive. Like the reason the iPhone fucking took off is because it's so convenient. Like we need things that become more convenient. And right now Web3 is not more convenient. It feels like a really cool secret club that you can get into, but it's not like grandma can get on there and start interacting with it. She's going to get hacked and like, you lose all her shitty NFTs that she bought.
I do feel like Nifty Gateway kind of like bridges that gap
a little bit,
not
with the
like
credit card.
fully, but like
Maker's Place too with the credit card
like
purchases.
my grandma really did create an account and
no way
and purchase her
That's
first
fucking amazing.
NFT. It was merged by Pac. So and she bought two on accident. She thought she just bought one.
That's amazing. And then they merged together and she's like, why do I only have one?
100%.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've got a 133 merge that's qualified for like 4 of the the pieces. So I'm like,
Matter
we're
tokens.
all still waiting. Yeah, Matter tokens. We're all still waiting on that, but I'm excited.
There's a plan behind that. I mean, there's a reason why they haven't dropped yet. I feel like
what's your speculation?
My speculation is I feel like if they dropped already, you would just see a lot of like people selling off because like obviously people need the money, and like I don't know if that's good for the collection. I don't know if you just want like a whole bunch of people just selling it right away, because that could create like a false floor of what it's really like should be valued at. But like
very true, yeah.
I know with Pac it's not all about money. Like
it's not at all. Dude
they've said that like so many times, and
yeah, he was like practically a billionaire before getting into NFTs. He got into Bitcoin in 2010, and he's been in CG for like 20 years before that, and he's just an experimenter, dabbler. He's a technologist, he's like just this genius. That's, if I feel like I'm a generalist at CG, he's a generalist at art. Like he's a performance artist. He knows game theory. He knows, all of these things that combine together to form his art. Like he trained himself up with Archilect, like on what drives people's
Jeez.
attention, like, like essentially using that as a viral uh, indicator, like how to make something blow up online, So he's like, and he knows code. He's so interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know. He's like next level artist, and there's a reason why, he's the number one NFT artist. Like, yeah,
And going
and it's
into Ash 2,
yeah.
how did you walk into being in Ash 2?
So yeah, I mean, like Pac just he approached. I mean, he and I had like kind of tweeted back and forth a little bit, but I'd never had many DMs with him. Like he saw when I got hacked. My Twitter and Instagram got hacked. My wallets didn't get hacked or anything, but there was like this really scary day where my Twitter and Instagram were stolen, and the hacker ran around pretending to be me and managed to steal like 50 grand from my friends, which was awful. Like
Whoa.
they're using my, like the fact that people know me and trust me as an artist and as an educator to steal money, and that was a horrible feeling. But so he like basically put a hit out on the fucking hacker for like 50 grand, saying like, if anybody can figure out who this is, I'll pay 50 grand, which was amazing. So
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't realize that you were involved in that. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay.
Awful.
I mean, that's a lesson in like as an artist upping your security. At the time, I didn't know about the authenticator apps, which is how they got me. They got me through a SIM swap on my phone. They targeted me specifically because I had an ape, right? And so it was just a really good lesson in beefing up the crypto security, and taking that super seriously, because my security is everyone else's security. So that's like why, when DK Motion just got hacked the other day, when his Twitter got hacked, like people lost tons of money because of that, and he felt terrible. And it's like, after the fact, what do you do? Because there are going to be scammers too that are pretending that they got affected and that they want money, and they're lying to you. So now it's just an even bigger can of worms,
Yep. And I think that was, righteous of DK to come out and say,
yeah, I think,
I don't know if we should be like paying people back,
yep.
and set that precedence. Like,
Yeah, it's
hey,
like,
if people get hacked, like you got to pay your customers back or whatever.
yeah, that it doesn't make sense a lot of the time. It's like, and again, like taxes, like that's another thing you have to worry about with paying people back. Like it's just a giant shit show, yeah, and it's exactly, it's a really, really tricky one. I wanted to do like a collab drop with some of the artists that got affected, and raise money that way, but they never really, like, someone lost 30 grand supposedly, but I don't know if he was telling the truth. That's the thing. It's like maybe he lost 5 grand, and maybe he just boosted up those numbers. And it's like, maybe like if I demanded blockchain data for that, like to see like the transaction,
I was
then
just
that would
getting
be
ready to say something about that.
yeah.
But
I
then
don't,
like
it's also
he
rude.
could,
You have to be like, hey, show me that you actually got affected, and this is someone that I am like somewhat friends with, that I've known for a long time in the world of 3D rendering and whatnot. So it's like, I don't want to come out and say I don't trust you. So it's like a very awkward situation that you can get into as an artist, or as anyone getting hacked, and whatnot. Yeah.
And that kind of brings us full circle back to Ash Chapter 2, when
Yeah.
Manifold was going to, well, they did like reimburse
They
some
did.
people. It was like, I think the first 2 pages or something weird, and then of the transactions, and then Pac all of a sudden came out and was like, I'm
He
just
reimbursed
gonna
everyone else. Yeah.
refund everybody. I was
Which
like,
was a
I was
baller
blown
ass.
away. I got
Yeah.
a failed transaction, so I was like, I was affected, but you know what? I was like, it was my own fault. Because I just
You
didn't
changed the numbers in MetaMask like to a unsafe whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's my fault, and I took accountability to it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like some people are getting paid back. Like it's cool if I do. Like whatever. I know it was my fault.
And you did
So-
you eventually got refunded, or what?
Yeah.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like that's like such a move of integrity on Pac's part. It just shows that he cares about the community. He cares about people holding his tokens. He doesn't care as much about money. He just wants to create cool shit. Bless you.
Nah, thank you, Octane Jesus. Thank you.
Yes, you are blessed. I don't know how to do the Jesus. I'm a
Is it
very
the
bad Jesus. Yeah, the thing.
okay?
It's like left, right.
So
Yeah.
so real quick, I'm not gonna like go into it very deep, but like I sell cars like at
Yeah.
Fillmont Ford Motor City, and I actually worked with a Catholic priest and
No way.
sold him a brand new Escape, and it was so funny because I've seen a Catholic priest at the dealership before, and he has on like the suit, I don't know what they call it, like the gown or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I knew this guy was gonna come in, and I was like, this guy's gonna have the suit on. I need to like not drink the night before. Like I
Right.
just need to be on like my P's and Q's. He comes in like jeans and a t-shirt. Like, hey,
Oh no way.
like
That's
like we
funny.
did. He's like, hey, what's up, Austin?
Sup, bro?
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
I'm like, are you Father so and so? Like, not gonna dox him on here, but he's
right,
like,
right, right.
yeah, yeah. He's like, but you can call me by my first name. I was like, I
That's
just I
amazing.
just couldn't even believe it, but
Yeah. He's like, I'm a modern priest, bro.
yeah. Well, so it's cool. Like he works with the UCCS college, the fresh priests that are getting ready to go into like the priesthood. He like
Hmm.
works with the younger people.
That's super
So
cool.
yeah, he was pretty cool.
That's rad.
But yeah, no. Anyways, back to the Ash chapter 2.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, Pac just like, so after we had, and also Pac noticed me, I think, thanks to that 888 trailer. Like that is another thing where that job itself, I didn't get paid a cent from it. I paid a lot of other people. Like 888 paid all the invoices on time, right? But like I was working for quote unquote stock in this future company he was going to create. So that was like he promised 25,000 in stock, which I probably won't ever see, let's be real at this point. But cause it doesn't seem like that platform is actually happening. I don't fucking know, but it's like it's way too late in the game at this point. Nobody cares anymore. So, but that trailer, even though it was technically a free job, really, really boosted my visibility as an NFT artist. And with all of those artists as well, they saw their names on planets. So they like connected me with this pretty epic, like full CG video that we all made. So that's where Pac was like, holy shit, this is crazy production quality, so he like got more of an interest in my career at that point. And from there, when it came time to do Ash 2, like obviously I was like, let's back up a bit because, like all things, there's a bit more of a story here. And
Wait. Do we need to rewind?
I think we need to rewind again.
Yeah, I think we really do need to rewind.
All right, sounds good.
If we're gonna back up, people need to know that we're backing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go ahead and back it up here real quick. All right, we are back.
Okay. So, I love this. So I'm backing this up to Tim Kang, illustrator, who bought that piece for 777,000 with Beeple, as I told you before. So like when I first got into the NFT space, one of the first things I did was started this Facebook group called Get NFT with my wife, Chelsea. And we invited like 300 of our favorite artists. It was also a Discord group. It was Facebook and Discord because some people were on Facebook. Some people were not fully on Discord yet. A lot of the artists that I knew and loved were mostly on Facebook. So I invited like 300 of my favorite artists and a bunch of Chelsea's favorite artists to just keep on top of each other, keep on top of everything and help each other out, with NFTs, like understanding what was going on in the space, like sharing news, like it was this whole
Like
new
who's
phenomenon.
Dropping next, like
Yeah, it was,
what
and we
they're
even
doing
did
with the
things like
collection.
exactly. We even did things like with tweet storms where we would all collectively tweet out one artist at a time, and there was like a raffle system to win a tweet storm. We were doing a lot of things as a group to try and understand the NFT space and assist up and coming artists and getting noticed and whatnot. And those were the crazy days of like constant foundation invites and like fucking shilling like mad. So I got all these artists into a group. And then one of the artists in the group, who's this awesome like 3D nature artist named Coque Nunez, he introduced me to Tim, illustrator. And yeah, Tim and I like just gradually became friends on Discord, and we were just sharing stuff. It was like, our just a one-on-one like, alpha group almost between me and him, and he had this idea to do a curated exhibition with a group of art with all the artists that I brought together, and his site grants.art has always been this philanthropic site in nature where he helped out tons of artists early on in their career to do their Genesis drops. So yeah, like we basically did this. We put this contest together with the theme of distorted reality, and about 100 artists from the Get NFT. You're finding it, man. You're on it. So like, yeah, just scroll down there a little bit and you'll find distorted reality. So just below the Paris one. There you go. And so this started out. Sure, go for it. It's a cool gallery. I still love it. And there's a grid view. If you scroll down to the actual piece, there on the bottom left of the piece of artwork, just underneath it, you got it. You got it. So that allows you to see the whole thing. And the top leftmost piece is the one that got the most votes, as in like it kind of shows from the top to the bottom. He had a system for all the curators to basically rank their pieces as to which are their favorites. This was everybody's most favorite by Tom Coben, this trippy, like, you know, insanity. It's so good.
You're trying to make it to the potty, but it's not really going too well.
It's not going too well, man. You've taken too much LSD and you've got to poop. It's terrible.
You're just probably gonna shit your pants at that point.
Exactly. So anyway, we created this whole thing together, and I invited a lot of the top artists in the space to curate, who I knew personally. Like I invited Beeple, G-Monk, Nest Graphics, Blake Catherine, Fuckrender, Josh Pierce, Philip Hodis, Brilly,
Here's A4.
Evan Shapiro. Yeah, A4. Oh, is he in there?
That's what it looks like to me.
No, it's not. I don't think
oh
so.
My God. I'm sorry.
This is Mickey Nemchek. It's similar in style. It is similar in style, but this is like a really cool concept. Yeah, Mickey Nemchek, he has a bunch of really awesome pieces on Maker's Place and Super Rare, and he actually has this like I think PFP project called Pupas or something. It's super interesting. This dude's a fucking genius. Anyway. So I got everyone like, Ryan Talbot, Too Much Lag, all these people to curate. What?
We're good. No, I was just playing some sound. I was like, no.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and there's even like that Mona and the Oracle one. If you scroll up to the left, that one that says Mona. Do you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. That one is like a whole short film that this dude made in less than a month. And it's like so well produced, I mean, unfortunately, like the sale of this gallery didn't get the attention that it deserved, but it was awesome. Like it was such a cool project. So
this is amazing.
Yeah, man, it was really fun.
So you said Fuckrender's in here too?
So no, so the artists are a little less well known. A lot of them. Some of them have gotten to be much more well known, like Chris Bier, who. He's part of the Parallel NFT team. There's a lot, Nolan. There's a lot of better known artists in here, and others that kind of dropped off. But if you go back one page, what I was saying is I invited tons of curators for this. So what they were doing, like people in G-Monk and all these in Fuckrender, what they're doing is basically like, if you just click Distorted Reality there and scroll down. At this point, don't enter the gallery. You can see who curated. So these are all. The people who just like essentially ranked all the artworks. And so there were 100 people, I think, that entered, and only 77 got in. And in the gallery, essentially it goes from top to bottom, like who got the most votes. So it was a really cool system that Tim developed. He coded it himself. And yeah, it was such a fun project. And during the project, apes came out. And I missed the apes, right? I completely missed them. And I saw everyone with apes after the fact. I'm like, what are these fucking apes? Why do I always miss everything? Why does everyone know all the insider information and I don't? And I I don't usually bitch on Twitter, but that one time I did. And I was like, what are these apes? I missed out, like somebody like needs to cue me in on all the inside information. I need that alpha. This was before there was even a term.
What were
Nobody
they
said
at?
Alpha.
What were they
at? Less than 0.5 ETH. But at the time, it felt like a lot because it was just like this experiment and I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, but Tim saw me bitching on Twitter, right? And he was like, hey, man, like, I don't want you to miss out. Like, I want you to be part of this community. Like, I minted like 100 of these things. So
no kidding.
Yeah, dude's
no
insane.
Way. Does he still have a whole bunch of them?
He's got a ton of them. I mean, dude has like all the tons of the top me bits. I think he had one of the mega mutants at one point. Like he is one of the biggest collectors. He's kind of under the radar, but he's also a DJ. He's such a dope and nice dude. But anyway, he was like, yeah, just pick one, like not one of these rare ones, but just pick one and I'll send it over to you. And I was like, dude, you're the fucking nicest. And he's like, and he's like, yeah, no problem, man. Um, and I was like, do you think these are gonna go up more? And he's like, no, no. He's like, I already made my money back. I already sold a bunch of them. So like, it's just insane. And like the thing is, because it was a gift, right? Like when the apes were at $5,000, I was like, Chelsea, our ape's worth $5,000. Should we sell it? And she's like, no, it was a gift. Hold on to it. I'm like, okay, fine. And then I'm like, Chelsea, it's at fucking $15,000. And at some point, it was like, it was at, when it got to like 20 or 30, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to sell this thing because it was a gift and it's not nice to fucking sell a gift that someone, gave. At some point, Tim, like when they hit like 100,000, he's like, hey man, you can sell that thing if you want to,
Oh, that's cool of him to say that because
super, super
cool.
cool.
I feel like, and the guy just sounds like such a cool guy, but
he's a great
I
dude.
feel like some people would kind of be salty and be like, man, I sent this
that's
guy
true.
an ape.
And
but he
so
just sounds
generous.
so selfless. He's like,
yeah, he is. I
want.
think he actually gave like Mankind. Do you know that artist Mankind, Rhett Dashwood? He gave him an ape as well at that same time. But he doesn't, he's not mad about it at all because like he bought ETH when it was like $1, right? He invested his like life savings into ETH when it was $1. So dude knows what's up. He's like not hurting at all, even now, financially. So, but like at the same time, that's extreme generosity. And yeah, I think if it hadn't been a gift, there's no way I would still hold that ape today because I would have sold it at some point, So I'm very, very grateful for that. And yeah, he also cued me in on Pac and what a genius he is, right? So I really didn't understand Pac like a lot. And I saw like a lot of the negative backlash against Pac, especially like when he did the creation piece. Those tiles that everyone bought of the Michelangelo, because that had more that, everyone's like, how can you steal art from Creative Commons and re-upload and sell that? That's such bullshit. But at the same time, I thought it was kind of funny because Pac is like this, he wants to create a bit of controversy. Not everyone has to love his art. It's very, very well defined what his art is. And he's also making statements about art. And in the case of the creation, I didn't even understand it. Like I just, everyone was jumping on the hate train and I was like, okay, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really understand what's going on here, but it's also kind of funny because he's so irreverent, and he just doesn't give a fuck. And he's doing, and so the art here to me is actually the blockchain and the smart contract that he created, which didn't let everyone collect all the tiles. And it's actually a piece about people's interest in, the basically, if you scroll to the top here, like the very, very top,
yep.
And you look at that, see the one with all the tiles that are kind of black and missing?
Man,
yeah, that one.
Here.
So this is, yeah, man, it's all good. So this is like a really interesting thing because this is like an art piece with the collectors that shows what parts of the image are the most valuable, essentially, because there was no opportunity, the way the mechanism worked, there was no way that the collectors could collect every tile. So these are all the tiles that exist. And so it's like a look at, which parts of the image we think are the most valuable and what our perceptions are of this image. And it created a new image through this process. So this is really the piece, and it doesn't matter that it's like this Creative Commons thing, that it's this historical art piece in the background. It's more about the process of this whole thing. So anyway, all that aside, like the point is I didn't understand Pac at the time. Right. And I had the first piece of Pac's that I bought was a single cube. When the fungible dropped, I was like, okay, it's Pac, his stuff probably will go up, like it's Pac, so might as well. But I didn't understand this currency thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I just bought a cube and I waited around for a month or two and it doubled from 500 to 1,000. Right. And I was like, okay, $1,000, I've doubled my money. That's pretty good. So I was on Nifty Gateway one day and I saw that an offer had come in from Tim, for $1,000 for the cube. Oh, and it's so sad that it's back to $16.99.
It's like extremely undervalued right now, though.
It's so undervalued. I know. It's like if I had dry powder on the side, man, I would be buying up so much ash and cubes right now.
We're
like,
all
if
maxed
I were
out
like,
on debt, and
I know, yeah.
we're all redoing our basements, and
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, I got an offer from Tim for 1K on this cube, right? And I was like, hey, why not? He's helped me so much, that I'm gonna accept the offer. And then I went and told him, I was like, hey man, you just bought my cube. And he was like, what? No, no, that was a global offer. And at the time, like, I should have known. Like, I knew what global offers were. I just didn't realize that it was a global offer. I was a fucking idiot. And so immediately he sent it back to me for free. Right. And I'm like, what? And he was like, no, 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 dude, these are going to be worth at least 10K each. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What a
He was like,
savior.
such a savior. So he was like, yeah, man, I looked deep into Pac's burn mechanism and the whole ash ecosystem and this plan for the thing and the bonding curve, the bonding curve and like this whole plan. And he's like, everyone's sleeping on this. And, he was like, not financial advice, but and he was like, there are not a whole lot of things that I'm confident on, but I'm pretty confident that the price is going to increase a ton on this. So I immediately proceeded to buy 10 cubes. I dropped like 12K on them and I held them for months until the burn happened. And then once I, got my ash, I held that for several months until it blew up like crazy. I think I had like 8 or 9,000 ash when it blew up to being worth like 200K or something.
Wait, did you have 10 individual cubes? Or a
Yes.
10
Yeah.
cube?
10 individual cubes because he told me, he was like, this was after the drop. He was like, man, I've investigated this and the secret is in the individual cubes. He was like, buy those because you get the same amount of ash per burn for the individual cubes as you do the 10 cube, as you do the 50 cube, etc. So he was like, he was like, the individual cubes is where it's at. He's like, I'm buying them like crazy. I'm like, okay. So that was fucking amazing. And that was my intro to the POC ash ecosystem. And again, I wish I'd bought more ash. I wish, there's always more wishes. There's always more like baller ass plays you can see after the fact. Should have and there were all those times at the top of ash where I'm like, I should have sold just before, or I should have dropped all this into, the Lost Poets so that I would be on the leaderboards. So I would get a bunch of origins and then sell the origins and yada, yada. There's always you can always see the plays that you could have made in retrospect, of course, like as we already said. But yeah, along the way, I really began to see how Pac was leading the community and leading this community of artists, really. And it was just insanely inspiring to finally understand his entire scope as an artist, and like he understands like game theory and so many other disciplines. And, when the Defiant Guide to Pac came out, my mind was just blown. Yeah. At how like deep he thinks and how connected all of his art is to the themes that he loves to express. So yeah, I've got nothing but love and respect for Pac as an artist. And I can't wait to see what he's been building behind the scenes, man.
Which, by the way, for those of you guys that haven't checked this out, it's called The Defiant Guide to Pac. There's 3 different parts. I definitely recommend checking out all 3 videos. There's a little surprise at the 3rd part, so check that out. Great video.
Yeah, it's just one of the best. Also the guy who made it, I forget his name, but he's a genius too. Like that was such solid videos, such solid like editing and even the lighting. He had like he had his light. Usually soft boxes are like this, but he had turned them to the shape of diamonds over his shoulders. Just the detail in those videos, like the attention to detail was so good.
He's got the FOMO diamonds in the background.
Yep. Yeah, man. And I've been in the FOMO, like again, after the Fungible, I was following Pac every step of the way. I got in on FOMOverse. I was there and at first I clicked too fast and I didn't get through, but then I went back and did it again and I got through.
Same.
And I managed to snag one. Yeah.
That's crazy. It happened to you just like me. It was some weird, like it took you to something that said like, sorry, you were too early. And I was like, what?
Yeah. What?
And then I refreshed it and then it was back to the same like claim, and I clicked it and just clicked accept, and boom, it just minted it. I think I like bumped up the gas too. Yeah. I think I did too. And I mean, he's so funny how he does stuff like that, where if you were too early, you had to be in the very specific window of time. Like he just like loves to fuck with people to some extent, like the hate tokens was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and a demonstration of such innovative new technology. Like that's the thing, is like, that's why I believe he's not going anywhere, because he's crypto native and he loves the space.
And you could say that his ecosystem's gotten too oversaturated. You could say that there's too many pieces out there, but the fact, and that he's juggling too many balls. But the fact of the matter is that he was able to juggle all those balls just fine. It's the community that didn't have the patience for him. It's the community that got like hyper frustrated at all of these things. But he was like, this is amazing art across the board. And it's art involving all the, like, that's the beautiful thing, is that all the people, all the collectors that are buying into his art get to participate too. You know, it's like you're participating in these evolving art projects, and the mystery, like Goblin Town, I could see the success of that coming from a mile away because it felt similar to Pac to me in a different way. Like, obviously it's like goblins and this ridiculous fucking meme shit, but the mystery that they were building and the performance art aspect on the side was what made me buy into it, because people love a good mystery. Like Lost Poets, like seeing this project unfold, like we still don't know what the twist is going to be. Like, you know, it's, you want to participate in games like that. These are like blockchain games, you know. And I've always been inspired by the fact that he exists somewhere between the PFP world and the art world. Like his art is true art, you know. It's like you know, just like, you know, he's very much in the one of one world, but like he takes that and he makes these big collections that feel like PFPs because they're gamified. And I've seen Raph Grassetti kind of follow in his footsteps. I don't know if you followed like the All That Remains collection with Raph and the masks. I went through that whole thing because it was so addictive. And like, it is sad that, you know, the best way to play a game like that is often just being an asshole opportunist on the side and sniping things when they're low and selling them when they're high and just not even playing the game. But I feel like I got such a good experience from playing the game and trying to guess at which pieces I needed to hold and just getting obsessive about collecting all this stuff and like getting the whole set. And I made it all the way through that collection. I've got more than one of every mask. You know, I got the Final King mask as well. You know,
whoa, the king.
Yeah, man, it was the king. It was so much fun. That's but it's amazing. Like then between seasons you see the price dump, and it's like, it is at this stage, I think it's very, very difficult to design blockchain games like that are sustainable, you know, that are like not going to just dump between seasons, because everyone's attention span is so short and everyone is also looking to make a profit at the same time. So it's like very difficult to predict people's moves ahead of time to the degree where you know what the price is going to be, you know where the value is going to be at any given time. Like a lot of the time, I think these games can go sideways, and it's difficult for artists to get into this mind of gamifying their work. But I think that it could be a really cool avenue in the future because, you know, it's utilizing the technology in a better way, I think, than a lot of the time than just releasing art. Like there's nothing wrong with just releasing art. Art doesn't need utility. Like, let me get that straight. But it, you know, it doesn't utilize the technology quite as much as a PFP will, right? Because that allows you to token gate and do all sorts of like, and like the whole burn mechanisms and the whole, like you can play these games and like really utilize the NFT technology and smart contracts a lot better if you're savvy like that, you know? And so yeah, that's what's always been really inspiring to me about Pac. Anyway, to get finally back to Ash 2, he approached me to do the drop, and I was so stoked because it felt like this big celebration with all the other top artists in the space, you know? It almost felt like a music festival lineup, like in the way that it was presented.
Yep.
And there was just so much like creativity and positive vibes in the group. Like everybody, you know, there was no direction from Pac other than like he wanted a specific aspect ratio and resolution and frame rate. But other than that, it was like everybody just got to make their own art. But for me, I took the opportunity to be inspired by Pac's black and white and minimalist aesthetic and his iconography, just like because I'd been such a big fan following him for, you know, the better part of a year. I tried like doing something inspired by his style, but combined with mine, with my mirror box process, right? And it turned out to be one of my favorite animations I've ever done because of how different everything looked by borrowing from Pac's universe. And also, like, my sound designer, Abel Okugawa, just rocked the sound. Like, he made these trippy, custom glass sounding elements. And, you know, it's very moody. It's, like, much more, like, moody and dark than, I think, than a lot of my other work. But in a good way, you know?
Which he is in the live comments, so what's up?
Oh, he is? That's awesome. Hey, Abel.
Yeah.
I'm not watching the chat, so it's great. It's really great that he's here. Yeah, he's just such a badass, and when we collaborate so well together, just in a very organic way, that's not ever stressful, where we're just, we don't do too many revisions, at some point we just call it good. Like, but he always brings another like layer of quality. And honestly, like his work is just as every bit as important as the visuals. Like, and that's true. I feel that not enough NFT artists really pay attention to the audio. It's very visual focused, and the audio is literally half the experience. And so I very much recommend collabing with sound designers and composers to elevate the quality of your work, like to bring that even more custom. Like, it's one thing to buy a premium beat track, but then if that track, like premium beat, if you don't know, is a stock site, there's a bunch of them out there, and it has a ton of great music. It's got tons of music on there, but at the same time, you could hear your track being played in somebody else's NFT or somewhere else in a commercial, wherever. So that's not as custom as it could be. I think it's much nicer to create, bespoke, quote unquote, music for your pieces, and it really elevates the quality of the work. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it about Ash 2. Yeah.
That's a beautiful piece, man.
Thanks, dude.
I appreciate you letting us use that in the trailer. So.
Oh yeah, of course.
So hey, so I don't know if you have anything to say for the audience. I know there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about NFT NYC, and then just also like with NFT NYC, is that something that you have like a gallery there, or were you included in like any of the parties there, or like did you...
I had my art up in. So honestly, I was pretty lazy about NFT NYC this year because there was just so much shit going on right before before leaving. Like I was trying to finish up like one or two projects, and I didn't have the time to get my stuff in a bunch of galleries, but I did have a lot of my work in the Crypt Gallery, which is King of Midtown's event, which was one of my favorite events. I don't know if you attended that one. It was amazing. Like, yeah, all my, like so many of my artist friends were there, so many great collectors, and he had this wall of video screens up in the gallery as you enter, and like I would see like 2 or 3 of my pieces on there at any given time playing. That was really cool. And we did get Chelsea and I both got our work into like this thing on Times Square that played briefly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was really fun, man. Thanks, dude.
I always thought that was pretty cool how they're putting the NFTs on the billboards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there should be a lot more of that. Like, the billboards that you drive by on the highway and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah, there should be. Yeah, so that was all really fun. And we did do an event actually at Art Basel, but it was a big hassle to put on. We ended up buying like 10, it was a rooftop party, so we had to buy like 10 of these Samsung Zero TVs, and we bought them all in Florida, and like we rented a U-Haul to get all the TVs up there, and they're these standalone, like they're really cool because they're standalone TVs, and they'll rotate from portrait to landscape with a push of a button. So like the whole TV is on a stand, and it'll rotate to fit the aspect ratio of whatever. Because some people have like obviously widescreen content, some people have portrait content or anything in between. So that was really cool. And we also had someone projecting the work on a building nearby. A really, really fun event, super chill. Like you could actually hear people because it wasn't like heavily DJ'd. There was a DJ, but he was a bit further back. So I much prefer events like that where you can actually talk to people rather than just like fucking screaming into people's ears all night. Like that's not my jam as much, like it's like we come to these things. Yeah, some of the things we come to like hype out and like, rage, at a concert like Ape Fest, which was super fun. But like that makes sense for that event. But then the art stuff, like you want to be talking to other artists and collectors, you want to be able to hear each other. So yeah, that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine.
That's awesome, man. I wasn't able to go to NFT NYC, but I am fortunate enough to get to go to the Bitcoin Angel Castle.
Oh, hell yeah.
Here,
what's that?
I
didn't even know that was a thing.
Next weekend.
Where is that?
It's in Scotland.
Oh, shit, dude. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I sold my Bitcoin Angel like pretty early on.
Okay. So Trevor Jones was the first guy, that I got introduced to NFTs with. So I just kind of have that special connection, that we talked about
that makes
earlier.
sense.
And so I'm just like, I held on to it, and then there's the party, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. So my girl and I are going to go out there.
Yeah, I wasn't tapped into that community this whole time, but yeah, his art's really cool, and yeah, I don't know him that well, but I've definitely been following his work in the space since the beginning. Yeah.
So what I was gonna say, getting back to the NYC, like
Yeah,
I didn't go to that because I'm going to this next party, and it just would have been like too much, like taking time off of work, like
absolutely. Dude,
having the
NFT
funds to do
NYC,
like both. Like I'm just like
yeah.
no way. Like
It's extremely expensive, but it's also like NFT NYC this year. So I didn't go the first year because it was still kind of
it
like
was
a
at a
little
different
bit.
time, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I mean, we could have gone, but it was also like still like the COVID regulations were still pretty intense and like all that. So we just kind of sat that one out. But this one, man, like it was one of the most fun times, most eye-opening experiences I've ever had in my life. I'd never been to New York before, so it was kind of mind-blowing. Like I'm in this infinite city, and it's just like
That's so cool.
it was really cool. And like one of the first days we went to literally 8 events in one day, like
Woo!
freaks. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you just shot after that?
Oh, I was so destroyed. But so we like managed to ride that perfect like, you know, zone of like getting almost to the point of being completely destroyed, but not. And we managed to make it all the way through, and like I mean each day I think got a little bit more and more chill where we're like, okay, now that we know what all the events are, we know which ones are the dopest ones. Let's just go to those. Let's like just chill a
Yeah.
bit, let's sleep in these days and whatnot. But yeah, it was so fun. Like I also like there were just so many chance things that happened. Like we were staying at this place called the M Social, like in Times Square. So we had this awesome view of Times Square from the balcony. Not like our balcony, yes, in the hotel. Actually, maybe the hotel didn't even have a balcony; it just had a window. But they had this big terrace downstairs that like wrapped around the building, right? So there was one point of the terrace where you could just sit there and look straight at Times Square and everything going on. So we'd go down there, smoke a joint, and just chill like every night. And one night at like we were down there at 4 a.m. and we're just sitting there lighting up a joint. There's like 2 other people near us, and I kind of overhear them talking, and somebody says K Money, and I'm like, K Money. Do you know who K Money is?
Never heard of him.
He's the influencer comedian dude that's like building, you haven't seen those videos where he's like kind of trolling the NFT space. And yeah, you should look up K Money. He's very well known, like kind of
That's
influence
so funny.
dude
He has a sign here like
in the
hating
larger.
NFTs.
Yeah, more in like the PFP community, but he just makes funny videos about going to conferences. Oh yeah, that one was a PR stunt by some team.
Obviously, it's not like real. It's cropped in there. It's just kind of funny.
Oh no, but they did have like a fake protest with all these God hates NFTs signs at one point. But if you scroll down, you'll see more of his actual videos where he like, kind of like just trolls the space.
Oh, I have seen him. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that was his name. I've seen
That's
this
his
dude
name.
before. Okay.
Yep. See, everybody knows him.
Okay.
So he's like, Mr. NFT celebrity getting approached by
cool.
everyone. So, but anyway, so these 2 guys were talking about K Money, and I was like, okay, these guys are into NFTs. So I just go like NFTs, and this is like 4 a.m. We're stoned. And then they turn towards us and they're like, oh, hey, and so we start talking. I'm like, wait a second, I know you. And he was like, yeah, I run a YouTube channel. And I'm like, you're Brett. His name's Brett Malinowski. And he's a huge influencer. He actually makes, a lot of, like, so there are only like 3 channels I watch or so about NFTs on YouTube. And he has one of the best ones. He also has a PFP called NFT Academy that's literally this like 60-hour training course on how to build your own PFP projects. And it's an NFT that's token gated. So yeah, dude is super cool. And we got into this like hour-and-a-half long conversation with him, just like sharing notes on our experiences in Web3, because obviously I come from a very different lens of like what he was calling high art, which was really fun to hear, because obviously like to us, it's not high art. It's like fucking, 3D art. And like traditional artists would scoff at at what we're doing. But, to him, it's like the high art space. And he's, very much in the PFP world. So like we were comparing notes and talking about, like, he had seen the 888 trailer. He is into a lot of the VFX stuff that I've known for a long time. And like people like Andrew Kramer are huge celebrities for him because he, knows Premiere and After Effects and took tutorials from them. So I was like, oh yeah, we're good friends with him. So like we had like a lot of people in common and whatnot. And it's just like this crazy chance meeting. There were so many things like that throughout NFT NYC, where it's like this massive city, and yet because there are these shared events and things, you run into people. Like I ran into JC outside of this, event. I ran into Richard, all these people. Yeah. Super, super fun. Like amazing event. And it's just fun, like just Ubering and taking the subway all over the city. And like the food was so great. We found this little place that we went to every morning religiously called Bibble and Sip. And they make these adorable, like you don't even want to eat them, but they're so delicious. You just want to look at them. They're like pastries. Like there's a lychee berry tart that's like in the shape of this little cute pig. It looks like this 3D cute pig, right? I don't know if you want to look up Bibble and Sip, but I'm sure you'll find some pictures. Bibble and Sip. Anyway, it was just like the most delicious like bakery known to man, and their coffee was like they had like this bourbon coffee that was like none of it was too sweet. You'd think that like eating these things you'd be like choking on them in the morning. You don't want to, like they look like cupcakes, like they're going to be too sweet, but they're not at all. And they have such interesting like kind of Asian flavors, like mochi or like green tea and black seed. They had like this black seed or black sesame croissant that was amazing, like the like red bean type stuff. And it was just like the best. So I don't know. I like New York was like seriously one of the most fun experiences ever.
Well, that's awesome.
And
Well, I'll definitely have to check that out. I'd like something like that. So would my girl.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to go to NFT NYC next year. It's definitely like the biggest and best. But yeah, so great to meet IRL too. And like, I think it legitimizes the artists that like people that show up there, like everyone knows that they're in it for life, they're committed, especially in the middle of this bear market, Yeah.
It brings out the wholesome crew.
I think so.
People that are the realists.
I totally think so. Yeah.
Well, hey, I know there was some other stuff we wanted to talk about, but maybe we save that for a part 2.
Hell yeah, man. I'm always down.
Sweet, man. Well, thanks for coming on this show, David Ariew.
Yeah, man, you got it. Yeah, great being on. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, brother. You take care. Have a nice Sunday. Peace out.
Yeah, you too, man. Talk to you soon. Sweet, dude.